diversity. So if you're a parent who's old enough to talk to your children, who have children who are old enough to talk, you're likely to experience one of those embarrassing moments at a store where your child encounters someone who is different than she is. Maybe you're innocently strolling down the aisle when you encounter someone with dwarfism. You tried not to stare. Your child, on the other hand, blurts out, "Hey, look how short that lady is." Her words feel so loud that you feel if someone handed her a microphone. You smile in deep embarrassment. You still try to avoid contact, and you rush into another aisle where you scold your children to never talk about people like that. In fact, it is in the similar of handling these horrifying moments that you're missing out on great opportunities to teach your children important lessons. When children point out differences, they do so out of curiosity, free from any prejudice or ill intent. Unfortunately, such prejudices can quickly attach themselves to differences as your child gets older and exposed to many, sadly, inherent prejudices in our society. The good news is you can be a powerful influence over whether your child embraces people with other ability, appearances, and beliefs. So let's look at some of the best ways to make sure that they appreciate diversity, and we'll talk about this in such an important trait that instill this into your children. Embrace teachable moments. The younger you start with some informal diversity training with your children, the better. Younger children speak out without a filter, as you know, and you're more likely to have them to navigate questions that are less likely if they're already exposed to any prejudice surrounding diversity. But since we can't go backwards, it's obviously best to start it now, whatever age your child is. So let's say you're in the store with your child and expresses excitement, amazement that lady over there is really short. You want to die of embarrassment, obviously, but you can rest assured this is something that this lady has been dealing with her whole life, so don't think that your child's inflicting some kind of unique pain on her. Fact is, most adults are pretty comfortable with what their diverse trait is. Instead of running away in shame, start by responding, Isn't that great that people are all such different from each other? You can consciously move away from that person as you continue with your lesson here, but she will likely appreciate the fact that you're using this moment to give your child some life lessons. Explain the cause, whatever the difference is, and encourage your children to ask questions. Teach your child that physical diversity is beautiful and that what you really want to focus on when meeting people is who they are on the inside. Sometimes we can't figure it all out by seeing just their physical appearance. Some people will even respond to your child when he makes a comment about their difference. This is the best possible teachable moment, so don't try to rush your child away from it. The child who asks you, "Mommy, why does that man only have one leg?" could be met with a powerful story about, how the man was careless as a child and how he lost his leg in an unavoidable accident. When these moments happen, thank that person for the generosity in helping your child to learn to navigate the world. Number 2, be a role model. Sometimes when we encounter older people who are racist, for example, we'll give them a pass because that's the way that they were when they were growing up. In other words, they don't know any better because that's the way they were raised and that's the way they were taught. Despite all the outside influences from peers and other adults and the media, you are your child's biggest influence, and he will, for most and any part, adapt to the attitudes that you teach him about diversity. This doesn't mean that you have to go around constantly pushing some diversity agenda. It simply means that let your child see that living in a life that treats people equally, no matter what their appearance is. Say hello to the homeless people as you pass rather than crossing the street to avoid them, and refuse tolerant insensitivity from others. If someone tells an inappropriate joke, let your child know that that way of thinking and talking is not okay. Openly stand up against that kind of insensitivity and diversity in what you see in real life in TV and radio and social media. Number 3, read good books. Make it a point to read by authors who have different and different backgrounds than your child does. Seek out books that will introduce your children to new places, people, and foods. Choose some books that are specifically address diversity, such as Special People, Special Ways by Arlene McGuire. This book presents a positive influence of those with disabilities and shows that despite differences, we still have so much in common. My Sister is Special by Larry Jansen. Especially good for younger children. This is a beautiful story of a boy learning compassion through caring through his little sister with Down syndrome. It's Not What You've Got by Wayne Dyer. This sends the message that money doesn't define who you are and teach you that it doesn't matter what others have and that abundance comes in many forms. I'm Like You, You're Like Me by Cindy Gaynor. Here, kids learn to appreciate the ways that we're all alike, and we still, by affirming our individual differences, such as straight hair and curly hair, large bodies and small bodies. I Don't Want Curly Hair by Laura Ellen Anderson. This is a great book, especially if your child is uncomfortable with a physical trait that he have. When a curly hair girl meets a straight hair girl, and we learn often that we want what we can't have. This is a tiny sampling of hundreds of books that are out there. Often your local library will have special sections with books about diversity in them, and you can also browse Amazon for more books that you'll ever need on this important topic. 4. Make a conscious effort to explore diversity. There are many ways to seek out diversity, from listening to different music, exploring different foods, attending cultural events, volunteer at a special care facility or youth centers that serve for kids who come from different backgrounds other than your children. You can buy a globe. You can teach your children about faraway places using books, TVs, and let her see how people in China, Africa, France speak and live differently. The more opportunities you seek out to surround your children with others who look different than they did, the more she'll grow up seeing how we're actually really all the same. Why it's so important to teach your children the value of diversity. Teaching your child about diversity has value far beyond the desire to see our children grow up as well-rounded human beings. And yes, we want them to be able to work and deal with all types of people because more and more they're going to encounter people with different appearances and abilities in their lives. We want our children to be a leader, the one who says that it's right to treat people based on who they are and not what they look like and not their physical abilities. But it goes far beyond that. Perhaps most importantly, we want our children to know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be the one who's different and to stand at the bullies when they're a target or when they see another child being targeted. You want them to make good decision when everyone else is experimenting with sex, drugs, or alcohol. To pursue their dream careers, even if it doesn't mean the traditional path of college and working for someone else. Teaching your children that diversity is a good thing, that each individual has value in who they inherently are, gives your child a solid base for becoming a strong individual. This will serve her as well as they navigate through social challenges in childhood, and as well as they grow up to finding their own path in a happy life. At kidspartycharacters.com, we love diversity, which is one of the reasons why we have over 200 characters to choose from. No matter what your child is into, chances are we have it, even if it isn't the latest fad or all the other kids are choosing for their party theme. So visit us at kidspartycharacters.com to book your child's next party, and don't hesitate to advise of any special accommodations that you need to make your child and all their guests feel welcome and included. And be sure to connect with us on Facebook for daily updates for all the magic that we bring to parties, as well as parenting strategies for raising happy and healthy children. Again, I'm Cheryl Jacobs, and thank you for listening to our Kids Party Characters podcast. Please subscribe below.